All right, we should be recording now. So welcome everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you might be in the world. Welcome to MVP Office Hours here in the US. My name is Dale Ziegler. I am an MVP and Salesforce consultant here in Kansas City. Normally we are also led by Jared Kingston, also in Kansas City, and Jackie Travieso in Charlotte. Jared and Jackie are both committed with other clients right now, so I will be running this solo, which any of you know me from years ago, you know I was a solo admin, so doing all this solo is definitely not a new rodeo for me. You can follow at MVP Office Hours on Twitter, as well as the three of our Twitter handles are there, and mvpofficehours.info is a great landing page for not only MVP Office Hours here in the US, but for the various office hours groups around the world that are starting to pop up. Before I click over to the next slide, over on the right are the upcoming Dreamin' events. Of course, Midwest Dreamin' in Chicago, very near and dear to my heart in July, but Texas Dreamin' in Austin in 2 weeks. And then July and August starts to get really heavy. And then in September, of course, is Dreamforce, which if you have not seen the memo yet, registration is open. Go register now, get your hotel. Here they are already filling up quickly. So as quickly as you can, get in there, get your spots. So the ground rules, the housekeeping stuff, we do this the first and third Friday of every month. So the next call will be Friday, June 15th. We do it at 2 o'clock Eastern, 1 Central, noon Mountain, etc. Registration, that is at a static link, bit.ly/MVPOHUS, and that is case sensitive. But that is always up and ready with the next meeting. So as soon as we're done here, go in and get registered for the next one, and you'll get a calendar invite sent to you automatically, and you'll be good to go. We'll see you in 2 weeks. This is intended to be an open Q&A discussion, and I cannot stress this enough because some of the best conversations we've had have been MVPs asking questions. It has been non-MVPs answering the questions. It's been dialogue and everybody jumping in on the conversation. So please do not think that only MVPs can answer questions. If you know the answer, please, please, please chime in. We want to hear from everybody. We love to answer questions about best practices. We love to answer questions about issues that you're having at this very moment with something that you're trying to build, whatever it may be. We may find out that it's a little bit more of a deeper and granular issue that you have, and we'll do our best to take care of it on the call, but we may have to take you offline. We want to help you. We want to get you an answer. This hour might not be the exact place to do it, but we want to get you taken care of. We are recording this, and so we'll be posting this to the Trailblazer community as well as Twitter as soon as the videos are rendered and capable of uploading. If you are not speaking or asking a question, please do mute, just because some of you are in offices, some of you might be at home, some of you may be wherever where there's a lot of background noise. So we just want to minimize that as much as possible. But in the chat, you can raise your hand if you have a question. You can unmute yourself and say, hey, I have a question. Always please do introduce yourself. We want to put a name to the voice. And everyone is welcome to share their experiences. Like I said earlier, there's no rule that says only MVPs can answer the question. So we'll also be capturing any resources that we talk about. So links to help and training sites or App Exchange packages or blogs, whatever. Whatever resources we talk about, we will save and we will post so that you can refer to them later. And if we need to get to it, we can give you screen share as well if we need to see the problem. So, and then of course, as I mentioned earlier, MVP Office Hours is not just a US thing. There have been offshoots that have come off of it that we're very proud of. EMEA MVP Office Hours is now occurring, and those are, as well as APAC, those are at random times, I think based on schedules and availability. MVP Office Hours in Portuguese, which I see Carlos is on here. So we thank you for setting that up, sir. That is the last Friday of every month, as well as students. MVP Office Hours for students is the first Friday of every month. So they may actually be running at this exact same time right now with it being first Friday. So thank you to everybody who does MVP office hours beyond what Jackie, Jared, and I are doing. And so with that, the floor is open. Who wants to tee up the first question? I see Marty's hand is raised in the chat, actually.
Hi, thank you. This is Marty. I just have a quick question if anyone has recommendations. I have someone that wants to integrate Salesforce with Constant Contact in their newsletter. Is anyone, I've also seen recommendations for Kazumi, I think it's pronounced. Anybody have experience integrating with that and a recommendation?
I have not integrated Constant Contact with Salesforce, but did use Constant Contact with Salesforce feeding up the contact data. I can't speak to the integration, but I can speak to the Constant Contact experience unless somebody else has more knowledge than I do.
I'll take any feedback anyone has.
So I will say from my experience, Constant Contact was a great tool to get your feet wet when it comes to doing mass email marketing, in terms of learning the rules of the game, how to set up templates, how to start to set up your distribution lists, all that kind of stuff. The big issue that I had when I was an admin using it was its previous clientele kind of ruined it. We found we weren't getting very high deliverability because of the flags that, any email marketing tool, of course, is flagged as third party, and Constant Contact didn't have as high of a rating as some of the other tools, but it wasn't a 0% deliverability, but it wasn't as high as we wanted it. But the actual usability of it in terms of importing Salesforce data and everything was incredibly easy. It was an easy tool to use, I will say that.
Great, thank you very much. Good point.
Anybody else want to jump in? And I'm gonna, if somebody's talking and they think we can't hear them, please raise your hand, because like I said, a lot of people came in on mute, so I want to unmute you from the master control. Rhiannon, you had your hand raised. Hi.
Hi, I have a question in regards to a process builder flow that I'm having a little trouble with. I have a process builder flow to set up so that we have a system that notifies our customers that we haven't heard back from them when we're trying to confirm their email address. And what I'm having trouble with is getting a task to automatically create once that email has been sent out, because it's just an automatic flow. So in order to make sure that the email is actually notated on the case as being sent, because otherwise if you do it through the process builder, it doesn't actually mark it as a task, so you can't find it. And I have it set up so that it's the field, the assigned to ID is the case owner ID. And I'm wondering if it's the fields that I have set up wrong, or if I'm missing something else with the process builder.
That is a phenomenal question. So if anybody has done this in the past, please feel free to step over on top of me and jump in. But I have a theory and a possible solution for you. If anybody else, please do. Okay, so I have actually, so are you sending the email from Process Builder, or is Process Builder calling a flow that then sends the email?
Process Builder is calling a flow that sends the email.
Okay. So yeah, you have to then tell, you have to take one extra step to, well, yeah, okay, let me back up. So you're technically not sending an email from the case. When you go down the automation route, you're not doing that. Otherwise, yeah, it would be automatically attached. Yep. Are you looking for the email itself to be attached, or are you just wanting a task that notes you sent an email?
It's just a task. So what I did was I tried doing the create a record and then just having the action name to be reminder email sent and the record type as task. It's just so basically if anyone were to go into the case, they would see that an email has been sent. I'm not worried about the content of the email because I know what's in it. So it's just so that anybody, you know, any one of my CS team can look and say, oh, you know, they did send an email on this date. So it tracks that, because otherwise they're having to guess, you know, 7 days after the created date. So they should have gotten an email yesterday, tomorrow, you know, that kind of thing.
So do me a favor, please. I just stopped sharing my screen, so that then hopefully you should be able to share yours if you're able. If you're in a position that you can show us what you built so far.
Yep.
Super. Okay. Ooh, that's pretty. Okay. Okay, so you've created a task assigned to the owner ID. Oh, okay. So all that's missing is actually linking it to the case, right?
Okay. Possibly.
Or no, I'm asking, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. The record is not creating on the case.
So in terms of, like, we're not talking UI like Process Builder or Flow, but we're talking back-end data connections. Activities have the who ID and they have the what ID. The who ID is anywhere from 1 to 50 contacts or a lead, and then the what ID is literally anything else in Salesforce. What I don't know in Process Builder is if you can actually leverage who ID and what ID. And the reason I say I don't know if you can do it, because I've actually been playing around with this with a client. It's been a while since I've been able to get back into creating tasks on workflows and things like that, but you actually don't get all the fields in task automation as you would when you're just creating a task on the fly.
Right.
I don't know if Process Builder serves up who ID, what ID, because I know Workflow doesn't. So the first thing I would look at, obviously, since you already have this active, you have to create a clone, which sucks, but it is what it is. If you clone it, I would see if you can add who ID, if you can get who ID or what ID, and if you can, what ID is going to be the case ID, and then that should create that connection for you. If that doesn't work in Process Builder, you can definitely do it in Flow, but then that means you got to build a flow or go into your existing flow and add a step there that says create a task, load the information into any of the fields, and create it there.
Okay.
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 Or, oh wait, so Michael Slonick, hello Michael, just said there should be a related to field. That is the what ID. I didn't even think of that. Good call. Gene, up, you should be able to. Yeah, related to is a good call. You probably should even have that option in Process Builder.
So for the field is what you're saying, the relate, it should be a related to, is that correct?
Yep, yes.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right, I think I can fix that. Thank you guys for your input. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Gene. All right. Cool. All right. I have things blinking at me here. Michael says smiley. We say smiley right back to you, sir. Okay, where's my list of participants so that I can see if anybody has their hand raised. This is the fun of running this solo, is you get to hear my inner monologue as I click through the Zoom control panel. Anybody, don't be shy. Gene, let's get you. Gene, you should be good to go.
Thanks. Can you hear me?
You're a little faint, but yes.
All right. I'll hold the microphone up closer to my face. So quick
There we go, much
question.
better.
Yeah, so I have single sign-on set up and I'm not having any problems with the desktop single sign-on login. But when I go into mobile, we have a custom URL. I put the URL in. And then I go to hit the single sign-on button. It's directing me towards a page where it wants them to put in like their username and login, right? Not their Salesforce, but their single sign-on like they would when they log into their desktop. But it's asking it for it in an email form where our username isn't that. It's like first name, last name, and then their password. And I don't know if that's like on the IT side. I wouldn't think that's on the Salesforce certificate side. That would be on the IT side, how they have it set up on their side, right?
One would think. I mean, the first question is, so desktop is working. Is it working both on and off your network?
That's a good question.
Because I'd have to wonder if a mobile device isn't on your network. Is that perhaps why? Like, are you seeing success on desktop because you're on the network? You've already created that AD connection or whatever your means is to forge that relationship.
Yeah, that might be because they're off network.
And do you have it locked down so that you can't just do traditional login.salesforce.com, or what is the mobile experience trying to go through?
So off network, they can go in and log in with their Salesforce username and password, but none of my reps know that because they use single sign-on for the desktop, right? So the issue is they want to be able to do the single sign-on on their mobile, but I think you're right. If it's not that they're locked down by IP address, it's probably not going to work.
IP, or if you are off network, is there a VPN or anything like that? But if they're on mobile and they're on cellular, then you're definitely not going to be on network. The next sub question to that is, can mobile devices get on an in-house network or whatever? So it sounds like there's a handful of different scenarios to test, and then see what the behavior is from there.
No, that helpful. Thank you. I didn't think of that part because they are locked down by IP address. So if they're not, then single sign-on is probably not going to work for them, and they need their password.
Right.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I just needed somebody to talk through it with me.
Absolutely. That's what we're here for.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Candace has put in the chat, or Candace, if you're able to unmute.
Hi, Michael. Yeah, absolutely. I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Awesome. Okay, so we're having this issue. We are an insurance company, and we have a certain process that our staff or clients can complete. We're right in the middle of that season. It's basically something called a land report. Based on how much land they have, because our farmers are clients, they have to submit this land report every year. Now, so they have a business and they have a land, and there's land can have a number of child items, and those children can have child items, etc. When we get too much data on the page, we're seeing this error message. Maximum view state size limit. It doesn't seem to be really. It seems to be a combination of both their land plus the other items. So whether it's a lot of great-great-grandchildren items or a lot of children, that combination seems to produce this error. It's not one specific thing that's causing it. We have a Salesforce support case open. We're going through that. That's not getting us anywhere. So I just wanted to reach out here as well and see if anyone else has had this issue and any thoughts or suggestions around how to fix it. It's really a problem because with it being the way it is, we're having to go back to our old system and manually key in this data, which we wanted. This is our first time exposing this to our clients, and we really wanted to see a decrease in cost, etc., by having our clients be able to do this through the Salesforce portal.
Right. because I am not a developer, I'm going to hope and pray we have developers on here, but I can definitely take a conceptual, theoretical crack at it.
Okay.
And if you are not seeing the chat, I'm going to drag it over here into the screen to see a little bit more of the color around this issue, if anybody wants to chime in.
I did post it to everybody, but I'm
Right.
is this also, are these office hours specifically more admin related, or was it sure?
Office hours are they're for admins, they're for developers, they're for marketing cloud, they're for anybody, really.
Okay. That's what I thought, but
I would say we're typically weighted 60-40 admin to devs, but we definitely do get devs in here. If there aren't any developers on here that might know the solution to this, I mean, I have a theory. So no matter what object, no matter what size the object, no matter how many fields are populated, et cetera, every detail record in Salesforce is 2 KB, straight across the board.
okay. Interesting.
And so you have a visual, what?
Okay, interesting. Listen.
So you have a Visualforce page that is showing many generations of object relationships, but this error message doesn't make sense if there is a limit on how much data you can show, because you're not showing all the data. What you theoretically be showing is references to the data. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be taking up any space to hit a 135 KB, which is 134, 67, 68 detail records.
So each detail record is 2 KBs, you said, and then you what calculation were you doing there?
I just took 135 divided by 2 and got 67 or 68.
Okay.
I don't know why this would be erroring out, because I mean, if you look at any in non-Visualforce, just a straight up detail page, and you could have, like from the account record, I mean, you could have every object known to man linked to account and have tens upon hundreds of detail records. You're not going to get this error message, because it should just be able to serve it up and say, all right, from this detail record, here you go.
So
now,
one thing on that, sorry, just to interrupt, one thing on that is that we are showing this data. So for each land, like say land location, there's going to be a number of child records and a number of details about that land location, and we are showing that on the page and then giving them the opportunity to edit it, validate it, etc. Does that make a difference to your?
Oh, maybe. I mean, potentially.
Okay.
I mean, again, in standard page layouts, you're not showing the data, you're showing links to data with some of the other fields exposed, but you're technically not showing the data. Okay. That is a different story if you're essentially compiling too much, it sounds like. Because you're creating data out of the data.
Maybe.
Possibly.
Like we're pulling all the data we have about them, about their land locations, whatever they reported last year, and then we're showing that to them. I'm not sure what the difference is between showing the data or showing links to the data. Obviously, like say you're hyperlinking on a standard Salesforce page and you just say hyperlinking between business and account. Well, yeah, the per se, not business, account and contact. Yeah, the contact link. Is that what you mean by a link to the data?
So when you're, what I mean is, like in standard page layouts, when you see the related records and related lists, you don't have the ability to edit them right there. If
Correct.
You need to edit those related records, you go somewhere else.
Right. Okay.
If you're giving your users the ability to actually edit right there in that interface, yeah, that data needs to actually be stored in that immediate UI, in that immediate UX.
Okay, and that is yeah.
Right, and so I mean, essentially, I get the business case behind it. Salesforce is telling you, you're kind of making this too available. Like, if you expose it, it's available. If you give them the ability to edit anything related to it right there, it's too available. And so it's saying we're going to put a limit on you for that. I believe. That's why I was hoping there would be a developer on there to confirm. But that's what I think it's doing.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll keep looking.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if there's ways that when the queries run to pull that data back, if there's any ways to put limits on how many records come back, that might help you. Like, is this query running and saying, show me every single related record, or is it within a time period? Is it just n per object? What are the parameters around that?
So for a particular business, every business has to complete this land report, pretty much. We will pull their land locations and pull that detail around them. We're also, I don't know if this is relevant or not, but we're also pulling values for drop-down lists. So for each land location, they need to tell us about what they planted on it. And so then you can tell us whether it's an insured crop or an uninsured crop. If it's an insured crop, it's something we already know about, so we'll populate dependent pick lists with the insured crops we know that that business has. If it's an uninsured crop, then we pull our entire list of crops that they could have planted on it.
And I don't know that would make a difference. I mean, it's data points on the detail record.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that would eat into how much space you have available. That's a thought.
Mm-hmm. You don't think that would affect?
I don't think so. I think it's the fact that you're serving it up to be edited and manipulated right there on the spot versus making it redirect somewhere else to do those edits.
So we've talked about other solutions, possibly pagination. Problem with that is then we have to change all of our logic, because we wanted to be able to, when they go to submit this report, say, okay, there's this many errors, this many warnings, etc., on the entire thing, because it's one piece of information they need to provide us, the entire report. If we paginate it, then we run into other issues.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Solution architecture, is that a type of Salesforce support case? I'm not familiar with that. Like a consultative?
Well, I mean, it's a good place to start. I would hope that if it's not a bug, like if it truly is, yeah, you hit a limit, my hope would be that they could give you some explanation or color as to, yes, this is the limit that you're hitting, and here's how you can pull back from it.
Right.
So we'll see.
Do you know what solution architecture is? I'm just reading GTAM's comment there.
Do I know? I'm sorry, what?
Oh, GTAM posted a comment about opening a discussion with solution architecture. Is that a type of Salesforce support case?
So, Michael, I mean, you were mentioning that is there a developer? I have some development experience, and typically developers design and develop based on either on the solution or on the requirements. So I'm guessing that if the page has been designed, and generally page renders the data what's been given to it by the backend applications application layer. So and then there's so if it's a lot of data, maybe page may not be a appropriate way to render that data or show that data to the users. Maybe you can take another route by reports or something, or maybe some way of batching it. Just a suggestion that or have multiple pages with the navigation.
Yeah, we've considered that. We were hoping to be able to get through this season by limping us along here, but without having to, re-architect our entire solution, because that takes a fair amount of time and testing, etc. Like this is not an easy rewrite or simple.
Right.
But the solution architecture team that you're referring to, what do you mean exactly by that?
So I mean, so typically developers, they will put kind of looping in the once they retrieve the data, they will put looping. If they have to um, uh, if they have to give the data to the front end layer, right? But then they won't say that, okay, maybe we can store the data in another table from where it can be exported as a report or exported as an Excel. They may not say that, right? And and then if there is enough stress testing or volume testing, then you may not take that page to production and know beforehand, okay, we have limits for 1,000 records or 10,000 records or 1,000,000 records, right? That you would know beforehand. But if let's say that discussions have happened before with the solution team itself, then they will generally give the options based on the business requirements that, okay, it's a batch scenario, it's going over 1,000,000 records. We may not have to show this on a page.
Okay, you're talking about our own internal solution architecture team.
So I think Michael can correct me, but I think that similar thing would be happening at Salesforce as well.
Like that we would be able to tap into that and get some solutions, because that would be fantastic if we could. This was designed by a consulting company that we worked with, that we partnered with, so we designed it with them. And we did a ton of testing around the correctness of the solution, but not as much load testing or stress testing on the volume, obviously, because we were not expecting this.
Oh, so all I'm saying is page would have some limitations. But I mean, you are right. I mean, if it's not an easy redesign, then you got to live with what you have and then maybe fix it in a way where you can get maximum data rendered on the page.
Yeah. Okay.
Through JavaScript or something, which is front-end technology.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Thanks for your guys' thoughts. I don't want to monopolize the entire time, so if other people have questions, then.
No, you're good. I mean, these are the kinds of things that, I mean, these are real issues. And if there's somebody out there that can at least help walk you through it or point you in the right direction, that's what we're here for. So that's great. And I mean, honestly, we'd love to hear how progress is going, because you may have a problem that somebody else does that nobody else has raised their hand to say, hey, I'm going through this too. You may find a solution that helps someone else. So that's huge.
Yeah. It would be interesting to know if, I don't know exactly how you relate to Salesforce, but does Salesforce provide that kind of solution consultation type of conversation? Because that would be helpful.
They might with Premier support, but I typically haven't had much experience with Salesforce helping to solution something like that, to be honest.
Okay.
Okay. Who has the next question or thing to talk about? We're getting to that point in time with Summer 18, I believe, hitting production environments this weekend, I believe. Anybody have a thing that they've just been eagerly awaiting with Summer 18? Any special feature or problem solved? Anybody want to open the betting pool on who the band is at Dreamforce this year? Anybody think Dynamics is better than Salesforce? That'll get the mob and pitchforks out. Now I'm starting to get a little bit worried that my audio got cut off. I'm all good. Okay, thank you, Rhiannon. At the same time, I mean, if nobody has any questions, we can definitely cut this early, but we still have 20 minutes to go if anybody has anything. Okay, Pearl Jam for DF18 and bucket fields in lightning reports. Michael, please unmute yourself. Let's get some color on bucket fields and lightning reports. Or can you unmute yourself?
Did I unmute myself? No.
There you go. I hear you.
Okay. Thank you. So yeah, bucket fields I think is new with lightning reports in summer 18. I'm eager to be corrected if I'm wrong. I was going to check that, but wanted to, stop the silence. So thought I'd throw something out there.
I don't actually know if, I mean, that sounds like something that would be new to Lightning. It's been interesting to see Lightning evolve over the last year or two based on where it was when it rolled out 3 years. Yeah, 3 years. It was formally introduced the day before my youngest son was born, so 3 years almost. But yeah, like there's a lot of things that a lot of people have misconceptions about. Well, that should have just been out day one. Well, not necessarily. So bucket fields would be a really good one in Lightning, just because a lot of people did fall in love with them in Classic.
And I did just double check, and I'm wrong. That came out with Spring 18, so that's there.
Okay.
Need to play.
Gotcha. No worries. Pearl Jam. Give your theory on Pearl Jam.
I don't know. I just wanted to throw it out there. They're, I think they've done Oracle a couple of times, so they're not above doing a corporate gig, I suppose. It'd be fun. Who was the big band last year? I feel like
I'm drawing a gigantic blank.
I know, right?
It wasn't U2, was it?
No, that was the
Was
year
U2
before.
last year? That was?
The year before, because I couldn't go, because I was presenting the next morning.
Gotcha.
So there you go. I mean, they're finishing their tour September 4th, which is like 2 weeks. Could do a one-off.
It's a maybe. Okay, this is bothering me. Alicia Keys and Lenny Kravitz, that's right.
Oh, of course. Yes, of course.
Yeah. It clearly shows that I didn't go.
That's what I got. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, that's all I have to contribute. I was just going to lurk and kind of answer questions if I could.
I am going to throw out the theory of Metallica, simply because, hey, we've had Foo Fighters twice.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Foo Fighters ripped the seal off of allowing repeats. So, I mean, Metallica is their local. Obviously, Lars and James are best buds with Mark, and I don't know what their, let's see, Metallica. What are their dates?
You know who'd be good is Beck. Beck would be awesome.
And he's done private shows, so Salesforce would not be new to him. All right, let's see. Maybe he wants to come visit me in Kansas City. They're coming to KC sometime. What do we got in here? Oh, right there. It's right up there across the top. So they take a break. And they're not international, so maybe. Beck would definitely be a good one. I don't know that Beck would be standalone. I feel like Beck would have another act, like Alicia Keys and Lenny Kravitz had.
I would agree. Although if you've never seen him, that is a seriously fun show.
That's what I've heard. Yeah. He was opening for U2 on their tour last year, and I had a lot of friends who went and were. I know this is blasphemy in Salesforce, but Beck was more entertaining than U2 was.
I can kind of see that.
Yeah. I will also give Michael some publicity here. I mentioned Midwest Dreamin' earlier. Michael will be up on stage with us in Chicago in July. So very excited about that. I got to see his dry run. What?
I was going to say with a colleague.
With a colleague, yeah.
Yeah.
But I got to see his dry run a couple of weeks ago, and it is beyond solid. So if anybody can make it to Chicago, July 12th and 13th for Midwest Dreamin', please do. Michael will definitely impressed.
Geez, thanks, Dale. No pressure.
Gotcha. Rhiannon says she'll be there. Looking forward to meeting you in person.
Indeed. All right, I'm going to drop off mute. I got somebody coming to see me shortly. But thanks, as always, for doing this, Dale.
Absolutely. Thank you for being on. And thank you for chiming in with some answers there. Thank you.
No problem. Have a great day, everybody.
We still have 15 more minutes if anybody has anything. Our next call will be in 2 weeks, Friday, June 15th, same bat time, same bat channel. Hop on to, or go check bit.ly MVP/OHUS. The registration link for the next meeting should be up here shortly. This has been recorded. I will post it on the Trailblazer community, which if you are not already following it, it's right here. MVP Office Hours is our group. You can post questions, comments, anything, but we will have the recording posted here later this afternoon over the weekend. Where can we find upcoming events? That is a phenomenal question. For community-led events, you can go to bit.ly/sfdreams, and then Salesforce hosted events. So that would be obviously Dreamforce, Connections in a couple of weeks in Chicago, World Tours, Trailhead DX, any of those you can find at admin.salesforce.com/all events. Salesforce and community events aren't going to be on the same page just simply because they're facilitated by different groups, but you can get to any of that information from these links, and these will be posted on the Trailblazer community sometime this weekend. So thank you for calling that out, Jatan. So with that, I will wish everybody a good weekend, and hope to see you or hear you on the call in 2 weeks. So thank you, everybody.